page. So I have a Linux support group that I started in 2012. Every month we do something about Linux or open source. I co-organize a Joomla user group on Nijmegen, and I organize open coffee for entrepreneurs every month. And besides that, I'm a volunteer in the international Joomla community on the forum since 2006. And this year I became treasurer of Joomla Netherlands, the foundation behind the Joomla days in the Netherlands. This presentation will be about the Joomla Framework, what it is, libraries, and how you can use it inside Joomla, but also outside Joomla. So, what is the Joomla Framework? Does anybody know here? Yeah, okay. Oliver, yeah, okay. A couple of people know it already. I was together with Hannes Papenberg, I was release manager of Joomla 5.2. And during the time I was release manager, it was decided to do more meetings about the framework, because the framework of Joomla, people don't know it. And they wanted to have more people helping out with development of the framework, but people don't know what it is. So actually I knew that the framework was used in Joomla. That was the only thing I knew. So I dug into the issue, and under the hood Joomla uses a lot of PHP packages, and they are used inside Joomla itself, and you can find them. You can also use them outside, and it's just decoupled packages, so standalone stuff that you can use also in your own projects. And you can install them using Composer. Who does not know Composer here? Okay, Composer is a dependency manager, and I will tell you later in the presentation, by the way. So everything is usable outside of Joomla itself. Some examples of packages: there's a database package, or HTTP package, events package, the registry package, and you can find everything on framework.joomla.org, but also on packagist. So let me go to the framework page. Oh, I don't have internet here. Hold on. I know. Luckily I have a hotspot. Oh yeah, I now have my hotspot. Hold on. Yeah, it's also a wireless was off, so to save battery power. Okay, so now I'm on my hotspot. So this is the framework side of Joomla. You can see stuff about Composer, about how it's organized in GitHub. And it's framework.joomla.org, and the other one is packagist. And if you currently do a query on Joomla, on the packagist website, you can find all the packages here from Joomla, but also Composer installers. Joomla is mentioned in it, and therefore it's on the top. And also because it has a lot of downloads, so you can see how much things are downloaded. So the Joomla Stream library is used a lot in other projects. You can see that here, almost 1.5 million times downloaded. So libraries. What are libraries in Joomla, or in general? It's just PHP that you can use in other projects, and you can save a lot of time. It's easier to update, and also for security. For consistency, if you use a package in one project and use another project, you already know the code. There's a large ecosystem of people who do one package very good, and yeah, it makes it easy to maintain your code. So now I come to Composer, what Composer is. I have a confession. Please don't tell anyone. But in the past I used PHP library package. I found it on PHP classes. Who knows PHP classes? Oh, fortunately I'm the only one. When I didn't know Composer, I went to this website and had all these great packages that I could use in our project, like in PDF writer. I didn't know how to create PDFs, but with the package of this website, I was able to create PDFs. Well, really nice. And I was using it for 4 years without updating. So Composer is much better to use. If you use Composer, it's a dependency manager. You can tell in the configuration files that you want a certain version of certain software, and if the package uses all the packages, it will also download those when you install them. The file is called composer.json, and if you install packages, you will end up with a /vendor library. Maybe there are people here who saw the talk of Benjamin today. We also talked about the vendor library, vendor folder. And if you put stuff in your vendor folder and you have a file called autoloading, then you can automatically include all those PHP packages in your own project. And with the composer.log file, you can keep them in a certain state. So it will be in sync with the repository, but only in the versions that you configured it for. So how to use it? Just go to packagist, query for Joomla if you want a Joomla package, and if you want to have the HTTP package, you have to install Composer, of course. Composer require Joomla, which is the vendor, /HTTP, and then it will install it, and then with one file, require vendor autoload.php, and it will take care of loading the packages. And if you use Joomla, you have probably looked at the code and you see you have a library folder, you have a vendor folder, and how does Joomla use these things? Like if you go to the Joomla CMS repo, let's go there. This is the Joomla CMS repo. If I go to the library folder, it says source, pass, and encryption. If I go on my computer to a Joomla instance, this is an installed Joomla website. I go to libraries. I also have vendor. So in Joomla CMS, on the GitHub repository, there's no vendor folder. That's because it's not needed. There's only a configuration file. So you have to download, if you download from the repository for testing purposes or coding purposes, you have to do something in order to get it to run. So let's go back. You need to set up the local testing environment. So you only have the libraries without the vendor folder, and if you go to the setup, this is Joomla, I'm Ruben. So this is the instruction. You have to do You have to do 2 things. First you have to do Composer install, and then it will get all the packages from all the GitHub repositories in your own project in Joomla itself. And there's also npm CI, and npm is the sort of Composer, but then it's for JavaScript stuff, for that kind of stuff, for front-end stuff. So therefore you have to do this if you install Joomla from the GitHub repository. But what if you install Joomla from downloads.joomla.org? It has everything already in it, because the developers who shipped Joomla, who created the Joomla package, they did Composer install already locally. Actually, they don't do it manually, it's in the script. And therefore you have a vendor folder, and in the vendor folder you have a Joomla, but also other libraries. And in the Joomla folder you have all the Joomla packages that are needed in a Joomla website. So this is the Joomla Framework. This is not the Joomla Framework like the Google and the Browser HTTP, but everything that is in vendor Joomla is part of the Joomla Framework. Do not update those packages yourself. If you do, your website is not 100% Joomla anymore, because maybe you have more recent packages, and if you run into problems, then people cannot help you, because nobody can reproduce the issue except for people who also do the update, like the developers. So if you are using your own extensions, what do you do with Composer if you use Composer? Who uses Composer for their own extensions here? Yeah. What do you do with Composer? Yeah. Where do you put the libraries? In which? Yeah, in the vendor folder Joomla. Yeah. Yeah, that's what I also do. Yeah, no, then we are talking about the same. Do not put it in the Joomla folder, because then you can have conflicts. I put it in my own component if I use it. So I have this component. This component is called Google Sheet Sync, and it synchronizes a Google Sheet with articles in Joomla. I made it for a customer. And what I did Composer install a sort of Google library that is able to get data from a Google spreadsheet to get it as data, and then I put it in articles. I showed it to a colleague, and the colleague he said this is a dependency hell, because it uses so much packages, but it does the job. I think it was maybe 18 megabyte by all the libraries. So that's also why Joomla doesn't put it in the library, in the folder. I mean, it's unnecessary. So, yes?
Maybe it's coming up later, but if you're vendoring your dependencies into the extension, what happens if two extensions or an extension and the Joomla core require the same dependency? Or worse, different. What happens if
Ooh, good question. Yes. Yeah, but if you have, if you are using the same, if your project needs the same package that Joomla also uses, but you have a more recent version or an older version, and you cannot use the same version as Joomla, you can still use it, you can include it, but you have to do something with the namespace. So that is clear that you get your package instead of Joomla's. I hope that is clear.
to go over all the vendor the namespace that you. Yeah.
So you can also use the packages outside of Joomla, and that's what's really nice. So what you could do Composer require Joomla registry. Then you create just one file. It says require dir and then vendor autoload to load the package. This is the namespace for the registry that I include, that I want to use. And I instantiate this object with registry's new registry. Then I say registry set, and I set a variable called welcome, and I put hello Joomla world in it. And if I do echo registry get welcome, it will say hello Joomla world. This is of course, you won't do it as a normal project. It's just an example how to use Composer. A better example is how you can list articles from a Joomla database. At the Joomla Day Netherlands, I did a presentation about using the API of Joomla. That's what you can use, but you can also use Composer packages. And what I needed for this example is I needed some PHP version 8+. I needed Composer, and I needed to have access to the Joomla database somehow. And also a web server, of course, otherwise it doesn't work. Or you can do PHP -s, then you run up your local PHP as a server. So I have it on the internet. Actually, after I did this example, I made an easier example that I will demonstrate today, because this has a lot of stuff. Let me show you. It's this GitHub example. Control C. So this is the example, and it's a bit of a fancy example because I also have an env. And the env, this is a more modern way to put your stuff, to put your credentials on your website. Files are not loaded, you cannot access them because they are system files on Linux. I'm not sure about Windows, but I don't know, I'm a Linux guy. So here I put all my passwords for the database. And then I have to compose a JSON. And this compose a JSON, it says that it wants to have the database package of Joomla version 3, and I think that the tilde version 3 means everything in 3, but I'm not really sure. There we have the caret, which is look like a duck here, and we have there are different things. It means in a certain version or a specific version. I think the 5.6 is the specific version. So if you use Joomla's database, you also use application registry and PHP. Oh no, this is what I did in my example here, and that's because I used the dot file for the credentials. You have also composer log here, and the composer log is I installed Joomla, and Joomla uses a lot of other packages, and here are all the packages mentioned. But I will show a better example, which is easier. Are there any questions so far? Then I will do a small demo. So let's go to a website. Docker compose. Oh. So I have this really fancy Joomla 6 website, which says home, and I have some articles in it already, and I want to display those articles. So what you do in PHP, I go to a folder called demo because it's easy. I have there a file which is empty. So this is my file, and if I go to the front end, I do demo.php. So it works. Yay! This is just my file, but now I'm gonna add some stuff to it. So first of all, I have to go to the demo folder. That's like this. This is really small, I think. I will make it bigger in a second. First I have to do composer, install, no require, Joomla database. So this is what I need, and look at the folder that you see here. It says demo, and if I do compose require Joomla database, I'm glad I have internet now, otherwise it didn't work. I didn't think about it. So what you can see, I have a vendor folder with composer that has auto load. I have a Joomla folder which has a database, and for free I got also event. And what you can see here, I also get something from Symfony. Symfony is a PHP framework. It has some stuff that Joomla uses, so it's also included with the database stuff. Therefore, the Joomla developers didn't have to develop it themselves because it's already there. And you have here the auto load. It tests also, I think, the version that you have of PHP, etc. And this is my demo file. So first I have to require the file. Require once. Dir. Vendor load, auto load. And then I have to add a namespace. Joomla database. Database factory. That's the namespace. Oh, and of course that one. Okay. So the next thing is we have to give some information about the configuration. Otherwise, you cannot access the database. And the configuration is like this. Let's make it bigger. That's easier for you to see. This one. View notes. Presenter. Okay, I think this is better to read. So, config. It's an array of data that I want to put here. The first thing is driver, and it's MySQL I. We have the host, and in this case I have a local composer, and in composer I have this database. I access it with this this thing. User. I'm using not Joomla, but database user. I have a password, which is 123, very easy to remember. It's only for local development, by the way. Then I have the database, of course, and that's called dbname. I have a port, and I also have a prefix. Oh, ships. The prefix, and the prefix is, I think I had YOS, YOS. That's for all time's sake. Socket is empty. I think this is it. Okay, so this is the configuration that I need to pass to this database object. So let's instantiate the database. New database factory it is, and then we add get driver, and then we add in the configuration the config, but we also say config like this. Okay. So this here we instantiate it, and now we do the query like you do with Joomla. So query equals the database object, and there we do get query true to make it empty, and after that we do a select. And in this case, I do select asterisk. Don't do it with real websites. I mean, you get too much information. Only ask what you need to display. But for this instance, I do it like this. I need to select from, and then it's called. It's called content, and then. Like this. I do something wrong. No, it's okay like this. Okay, now we have to do /db set query. So this is everything. Rows. No, not execute. Need load object list. I'm sorry? Oh, very well spotted. Oh, learn to type. Yeah, I'm not used to this kind of keyboard. I have a mechanical keyboard with real keys, but I didn't take it with me now. Okay, so print. If I do like this, there should be no error. Okay, and now if I do like print r rows, you should get all the data from Joomla. So now I have created a small PHP application that gets the data from a Joomla database, and I just got everything from the content table. But of course, you can craft your SQL any way you like. Yeah, that's basically it. And of course, you put this, you make this nicer. You get the data and you can lay out it any way you like. Are there any questions? No?
How do we know that this used Joomla database or base factory is not going to the standard library path?
Because this is a standard. No, then it doesn't work. It says error class. This is the error on line 19. So line 19 is here. Here is the error, but it's because we didn't require it. And now it works again. So, do you have any purposes to use the Joomla database outside of Joomla? Well, you can maybe if you can make a multilingual of multi-site application. Yes. Multi-site application. So in this case, what you do is you put this with all the layout, and you put it on one website. But you have to make in the configuration one place that you say I want only the category association 1 or association 2, and then it could display that. Then it's very light. You don't have to maintain that because it's on another website. It doesn't have any Joomla files that get updated or third-party extensions. So yeah, it's really nice if you have a solution like that. The only thing is you also miss things like forms. So if you have forms, yeah, you have to find another way, or you have to find to make something that you can put it directly in the database of Joomla, or maybe use the Joomla API. That's maybe easier. Yeah, if you use the API, you can also use the API for that, for what you want to accomplish. It's what you prefer. This goes directly to the database, and the API goes via the web server. So that's the difference. Questions? Other questions? Yes?
Disclaimer, I'm completely unfamiliar with the framework. When we were speed dating, I confessed to you that I'm a type of 3 guy, so I don't know anything really. Is there some kind of ORM working in the Joomla framework where content types, for example, are mapped to PHP classes or something? And can I also do that myself if I'm coding
There is a class file in Joomla, but the class file is not to map objects to each other. The class file is used to change the namespacing that we used in the past. I mean, the non-namespacing stuff. We used to have something called JFactory and JText and JHTML, and all those classes are vintage, are not used anymore. These days we use factory with the namespace, or we use text with the namespace, or we use HTML helper with the namespace. And because people still have old code, we have, let me check. How do I? Oh, this one. View mode and then exit presentation. Yes. In the past we had in the libraries there was something called class map. It's not here anymore. I think now namespace map. No. Then it is probably in the compatibility plugin. Behavior. Classes. It has been changed and I don't know where it is. Let me search. No. Let me. I'm sorry. Which file is it? Oh, Real Factory, of course. Yeah, thank you, Tom. Yeah, this is the class. No, this is not. Oh, sorry. This is it. Yeah. So this is a mapping of all the old classes and with the new namespaces. So if you run into an error, like for instance in my code, let's do that. If I go to my demo code, and instead of the database factory and name it maybe so this is what it does, and if I do like this, factory, yay factory, so it still sees application, but it says JFactory error. So in PHP Storm you should go on it, you can click on it normally. I don't know why it's not now. And then you go to the class map, and here you can see what the new is, and then you just do the new. But I think maybe I need something that's here. Oh no, I know why. It's not in my project. It's my standalone file, so it doesn't know that it's Joomla. But if it would be a Joomla file, and you have JFactory, and you click on it, and you go to the class map, and you see how you have to redo it. But you said typo tree. I don't know typo tree, but I guess that they also use Composer to have packages.
My question was more around, for example, if we look at all those classes, Joomla obviously has quite a lot of code to wrap all these data structures that are stored in the database. My question was more along the lines of how can I, in my standalone application, use the Joomla classes that are meant to process the content instead of just doing raw SQL.
Okay, now I understand your question. For instance, you have a users table, but you also have roles for the users, like a super user, administrator, manager, or whatever. Those are mapped in a real table. The mapping, there is no object relation management scheme for that. I mean, it's all done in PHP. It's just queries, but if you wanted to have all the super administrators, you said select from the users, left join to the mapping table, and then you can also use variables from the mapping table to do a filter. We don't have, or does somebody know that we don't have it? Do we? No. Yeah. Yeah. So does Typo 3 have such a model that you know of?
It has been on and off. They had like their phase where they built their own ORM and then found out that it sucks because the apps are like, you know, you get some flexibility, but then your performance goes down the drain.
Yeah.
Now they're just, I think, in the process of moving away from that again. So
Okay.
I was just curious.
Well,
That's why I asked.
I know that Joomla in the libraries, in the vendor libraries, there is something called Doctrine, and I think that Doctrine is some sort of database abstraction stuff.
But from the looks of it, it's just like a small sub library of.
Yeah, but
it's not the main thing.
If it's programmed really efficiently, then maybe I don't know this one.
Sorry.
Yeah. Other questions? Can also be about all Joomla things.
As a developer, if you were gonna create an extension that would work for Joomla mainly, but you want to get into the WordPress world, for example, could you use those libraries and then so that your code would be more like Joomla oriented code, but still usable in WordPress?
I think that you have to develop your own library. So it will be in a library folder, your own library, and with generic stuff like a sort of helper file, which is not really yeah. Then you can use that library file also in other projects. But I think it's difficult. Do you have ideas? Do you want to go to WordPress? Yeah. Well, there are some developers that created extensions for WordPress, but I think like Nicholas with Akira Backup, I think it is. I mean, maybe he used parts of the code, but I'm not sure if he uses things like that. Like, what you also can do, if you have a part that you use in other projects as well, maybe you have one Git repository for Joomla, for a Joomla component, and the other for the WordPress plugin. Then you have a central something, and then you can use something like submodules in GitHub, and to get that code just in the project and also in the other project. But if you change it, then you have to update it. But well, you can reuse code like that, but I'm not sure. Yeah, maybe you can also do it with composing. Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you all for your attention. I think it's also time. Okay. That's it.
How do you actually like the Joomla framework?
I'm sorry?
How do you like